Nathaniel's breath caught in his throat, the air thick with the scent of rubber mats and lingering cologne. He had come here every Tuesday and Thursday for months, chasing the burn in his muscles to drown out the ache in his chest from another failed date, another ghost of a man who vanished like fog over Puget Sound. Ethan, with his broad shoulders and easy smile that hid something deeper, had become the anchor in this routine, the coach who pushed him harder than anyone ever had, not just with representatives but with words that cut straight to the bone. You're stronger than you think, Nate. Stop holding back. Now, standing there in the dim fluorescent glow, Nathaniel felt exposed, his tank top clinging to his skin like a second layer of doubt. Ethan leaned against the front desk, arms crossed over his chest, the muscles in his forearms flexing unconsciously. At 35, Ethan was the kind of man who looked carved from the rugged cliffs of the Olympic Peninsula, dark hair cropped close, hazel eyes that could shift from warm sunlight to stormy seas in an instant. He ran this small gym in Capitol Hill, a haven for insomniacs and heartbreakers, tucked between a vegan cafe and a vintage bookstore that smelled of old paper and fresh starts. I shouldn't do this, Ethan started, his voice rougher than usual, like gravel under tires on a wet road. He uncrossed his arms, running a hand through his hair, glancing toward the rain-blurred windows as if the city lights could offer an escape. Nathaniel's pulse thrummed in his ears, louder than the downpour outside. He had always sensed it, that undercurrent between them, the way Ethan's hand would brush his during a form correction, lingering just enough to spark electricity. But Seattle men were like its coffee, strong and complicated, and Nathaniel had learned early not to sip too deep. Do what? Nathaniel asked, stepping closer, his sneakers squeaking faintly on the polished floor. The gym felt smaller now, the racks of weights silent witnesses, the mirrors reflecting their silhouettes like shadows in a noir film. Ethan's jaw tightened, and for a moment, Nathaniel thought he saw the flicker of fear, the same one that had kept him single for 2 years since his last breakup, the one where Marcus had packed his bags after a family dinner turned interrogation. Ethan closed the distance in 2 strides, his presence filling the space like the first rumble of thunder. This, he murmured, his hand reaching out to cup Nathaniel's jaw, thumb tracing the line of stubble with a tenderness that belied his strength. Their eyes locked, and in that hazel-blue collision, the world narrowed to the heat building between them. Ethan's lips met his, tentative at first, then fierce, a confession poured into the kiss like rain into the streets below. Nathaniel's hands fisted in Ethan's shirt, pulling him closer, tasting salt and need, the lock on the door a promise that this moment was theirs alone. They broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed together, the gyms hummed the only sound besides their ragged breaths. I've watched you for months, Ethan whispered, his voice breaking the silence like a vow. Every push, every pull, you're fighting something inside. And God, Nate, I want to fight it with you. Nathaniel's heart swelled, a dam breaking after years of drought. He had moved to Seattle 5 years ago from a sleepy suburb in Ohio, chasing a job in tech support at a startup downtown, but really fleeing the weight of expectations, the whispers of not quite right from a family that loved him in silences. Here, amid the tech bros and baristas, he had built walls of code and caffeine, but Ethan saw through them. That night, they didn't go further, not with the rain raging and the risk too fresh. Ethan drove him home in his battered Ford pickup, the wipers slapping rhythmically, classic rock murmuring low on the radio. They talked in fragments, about Ethan's divorce 5 years back from a woman he'd never truly loved, a cover for the truth he buried deep. About Nathaniel's ex, Marcus, who had promised forever until a promotion took him to San Francisco and a new life without the complications. By the time they pulled up to Nathaniel's apartment in Fremont, the troll under the bridge a quirky landmark in the headlights, something had shifted. A beginning, fragile as the first cherry blossoms in spring. The next week blurred into a haze of stolen glances and late-night texts. Nathaniel arrived at the gym early, his routine now laced with anticipation, the burn of squats amplified by Ethan's voice in his ear, closer than before. Breathe through it, Ethan would say, his hand steady on Nathaniel's lower back, fingers splaying just enough to send shivers up his spine. After hours, when the last client left, they'd linger, mapping each other with touches that grew bolder, kisses that tasted of protein shakes and possibility. One evening, as fog rolled in from the sound, Ethan invited him to his place in Ballard, a converted warehouse loft with exposed brick and views of the ship canal. The air smelled of pine from the nearby locks, and Ethan's dog, a lanky mutt named Jasper, greeted them with enthusiastic tail wags. They cooked pasta in a kitchen cluttered with kettlebells and dog toys, laughing over burned garlic bread, the domesticity a balm Nathaniel hadn't known he craved. In bed, under sheets worn soft from years of solitude, they moved together slowly, exploring with the reverence of men who had waited too long. Ethan's body was a landscape of strength and scars, a faint one across his ribs from a hiking accident in the Cascades, and Nathaniel traced it with lips and fingers, memorizing every inch. "I love you," Ethan said in the quiet after, his voice a rumble against Nathaniel's chest. The words hung there, heavy and true, and Nathaniel echoed them back, the confession sealing something unbreakable. For the first time in years, sleep came easy, wrapped in arms that felt like home. But Seattle's rains always brought storms, and theirs brewed slow. Nathaniel's job at the startup intensified, deadlines piling like storm clouds, pulling him into late nights at the office overlooking Elliott Bay. Ethan trained a new client, a charismatic architect named Riley from Austin, whose easy laugh and lingering stares Ethan dismissed at first. Just friendly, he told Nathaniel over takeout pho one night, but doubt seeded in Nathaniel's gut, watered by memories of Marcus's wandering eyes. The first crack came on a crisp October morning, leaves turning gold along the Burke-Gilman Trail. Nathaniel biked to work, helmet tucked under his arm, when his phone buzzed with a photo from a mutual gym friend, Ethan and Riley, arms slung around each other at a post-workout brunch in Queen Anne, grins wide and wine glasses raised. The caption read, "Squad Goals." Nathaniel's stomach twisted, the ferry horns in the distance mocking his unease. He texted Ethan, casual as he could manage, "Looks fun." "Who's the guy?" Ethan's reply was quick, "Old college buddy, in town." Nothing to it. "Love you." But the words felt like echoes, hollow against the rising tide. Weeks passed in a rhythm of reassurance and routine. They hiked Discovery Park one weekend, hands linked on the hidden trails, the salt air cleansing the air between them. Ethan spoke of his dreams, opening a second gym in West Seattle, creating a space for guys like them, safe and strong. Nathaniel shared his own, coding an app for queer mental health resources, inspired by the voids in his own story. In those moments, the doubt receded, love a lighthouse beam cutting through fog. Yet shadows lengthened. Riley extended his stay, networking, and Ethan's schedule filled with consults. Nathaniel buried himself in work, the glow of his laptop screen a poor substitute for the warmth he missed. One night, after a grueling day, he showed up at the gym unannounced, key Ethan had given him burning in his pocket like a talisman. The place was dark, but Riley's sleek Audi idled outside. Inside, laughter spilled from Ethan's office, low and intimate. Nathaniel froze in the doorway, heart slamming against ribs. Ethan sat on the desk's edge, Riley too close, hand on his knee, their faces inches apart. The air crackled with what might have been, or already was. "Nate," Ethan said, startled, sliding off the desk, but the damage bloomed instant, a bruise to the soul. "It's nothing," Ethan insisted later, in the truck on the way home, rain sheeting the windshield. Riley had leaned in for a hug, old flames flickering, but Ethan pulled back. "I swear, Nate. You're it for me." Nathaniel nodded, words failing, the trust fracturing like thin ice on Green Lake. The betrayal didn't explode, it eroded, slow as the tide sculpting the Sound's shores. Nathaniel pulled away, sessions at the gym mechanical, touches tentative. He confided in his barista friend, Lena, over lattes at the cafe next door, her piercings glinting as she listened. "Trust your gut, hun," she said, sliding him an extra shot of espresso. "Seattle boys play games, but you deserve the real deal." Ethan sensed the shift, doubling down with gestures, tickets to a show at the Paramount, a weekend getaway to the San Juans. They ferried over, cabins creaking in the wind, and for a night, under stars unpolluted by city glow, they reclaimed each other. Bodies entwined, whispers of forever, the sea's rhythm lulling them into belief. But crisis crested on Thanksgiving, family pulling at threads. Nathaniel's parents flew in from Ohio, staying in his cramped apartment, their questions probing like scalpels, seeing anyone special. He evaded, but guilt gnawed. Ethan hosted a small dinner at his loft, inviting Lena and a few gym regulars, the table laden with turkey and pie from Macrina Bakery. Laughter flowed, but midway, Riley texted Ethan, visible on the counter, "Miss you tonight. Come over after." Ethan silenced it quick, but Nathaniel saw, the room tilting. Later, alone in the bathroom, he scrolled Riley's socials, photos of them from years back, Austin nights under live oaks, arms wrapped tight. The pieces fit, Ethan's hesitations, the late calls, the way his eye sometimes drifted. Confrontation came in the gym's parking lot, sodium lights casting long shadows. "How long?" Nathaniel demanded, voice steady despite the quake inside. Ethan leaned against the truck, defeated. "It was one night, after our first fight. I was scared, Nate. Of us being real." The admission landed like a punch, betrayal's blade twisting deep. Nathaniel walked away, into the drizzle, blocks blurring as sobs racked him, the city indifferent. The fallout was a winter of isolation. Nathaniel quit the gym, channeling energy into runs along the waterfront, the Space Needle a distant spire mocking his solitude. Work blurred into numbness, code lines a refuge from emotion storm. Friends rallied, Lena with wine and walks, his co-worker Javier with bad jokes and better advice, but the void echoed. He journaled in a leather-bound book from Elliott Bay Book Company, pages filling with raw pleas, "Why do I always love the ones who leave pieces behind?" Ethan reached out, voicemails pleading, texts poetic in pain. "I broke us because I couldn't believe we were possible. Forgive me, or let me go, but know you're my horizon." Nathaniel deleted them, then replayed, heartwarming with head. Healing began in fragments, like sunlight piercing clouds. Therapy sessions in a Belltown office, unpacking Ohio roots and Seattle scars. Volunteering at a youth center in the Central District, mentoring queer kids navigating their own confessions, their resilience a mirror to his own. One boy, Timmy, with freckles and fire, reminded him of younger self, "Love isn't a lock you can pick, Mr. Nate. It's the key you choose to keep." Spring thawed the ice. Cherry blossoms dusted Capitol Hill, and Nathaniel crossed paths with Ethan at the farmer's market, stalls bursting with rhubarb and radishes. Ethan looked worn, hazel eyes shadowed, Jasper tugging at his leash. They talked haltingly, over coffee from a cart, words rebuilding bridges. "I ended it with Riley months ago," Ethan said. "Permanently. And I've been working on me, Nate. AA meetings for the fear, not the bottle. I want to be the man you deserve." Skepticism lingered, but so did the pull, magnetic as the moon on tides. They started slow, coffee dates, trail runs in Discovery Park, no locks, no haste. Ethan shared his vulnerabilities, the closet he'd cracked open too late, the family in Spokane who still didn't know. Nathaniel opened his journal, reading passages aloud, vulnerability a shared language. By summer, solstice fires lit the beach at Golden Gardens, they stood hand in hand, waves lapping at feet. "I choose us," Nathaniel said, the words a vow against the horizon. Ethan pulled him close, kiss salt-kissed and sure. The journey hadn't erased scars, but woven them into strength, a tapestry of forgiveness and fierce love. In the gym once more, door unlocked, they trained side by side, not coach and client, but partners. Seattle's rains fell softer now, washing clean the past, leaving space for growth. Nathaniel coded his app, Ethan expanded his dream, their lives entwined like roots under the city's skin. Love, they learned, wasn't the absence of storms, but dancing in them, together. The summer solstice bonfire crackled on the sand, sparks dancing like fireflies against the twilight sky, but Nathaniel's mind wandered back to that locked door, the turning point that had unraveled and rewoven his world. Beside him, Ethan's shoulder brushed his, a casual anchor in the crowd of friends and strangers gathered at Golden Gardens, laughter mingling with the crash of waves. Jasper bounded through the surf, shaking water from his fur, a joyful blur that mirrored the tentative lightness Nathaniel felt blooming in his chest. It had been 3 months since the market encounter, 3 months of measured steps on a path pocked with old craters. Their first official date post-reconciliation was a picnic in Volunteer Park, under the blackberry brambles heavy with fruit, the conservatory's glass dome glinting like a promise. Ethan had packed sandwiches from a deli in Finney Ridge, turkey and avocado on sourdough, with a bottle of rosé chilled in a cooler. They talked for hours, not about the betrayal, but about dreams deferred, Ethan's vision for a queer-inclusive fitness program, Nathaniel's app nearing beta testing, features for anonymous support chats that could have saved his younger self from isolation. "You're glowing," Lena had teased later that week at the cafe, her tattooed arms folding as she handed him his usual Americano. "Like you finally let the sun in." Nathaniel smiled, the warmth real, though shadows lingered. Trust rebuilt brick by brick, mortar of time and truth. But conflict simmered beneath the surface, as it always did in stories like theirs, laced with the grit of American lives where love tangled with ambition. Ethan's gym expansion hit snags, permits delayed by city bureaucracy, investors wary of the niche focus on LGBTQ+ wellness. Late nights found him poring over spreadsheets in the loft, Jasper curled at his feet, while Nathaniel worked remotely from the kitchen table, debugging code with headphones blasting indie folk from Seattle's KEXP. One evening, as dusk painted the ship canal in bruised purples, tension crested. Nathaniel suggested scaling back the queer angle, just for funding, make it broader. Ethan, like how tech startups pivot, words tumbling out in frustration after a long day. Ethan's face hardened, hazel eyes flashing. "This isn't a pivot, Nate. It's me. All of me. If I hide that, what's left?" The argument spilled into the living room, voices rising over the hum of the fridge, accusations flying like errant weights. "You're scared of failure, projecting it on me," Nathaniel shot back, heart racing with the familiarity of fracture. Ethan paced, hands raking through his hair. "And you're still waiting for me to bolt, aren't you?" Every word a test. Silence fell heavy, broken only by Jasper's whine from the corner. They slept apart that night, the bed a chasm, regret a cold companion. Morning brought olive branches, Ethan brewing coffee strong as his resolve, Nathaniel slipping a note under the mug, "Sorry. I see you, all of you." They talked it out on a walk along the canal, locks churning water like emotion stirred. "We're building something real," Ethan said, squeezing his hand. "No shortcuts." The crisis passed, but it etched deeper understanding, love's forge heating them stronger. As autumn leaves turned the streets to fire, Nathaniel's app launched softly, a ripple in the digital sea. Downloads trickled in, stories pouring through the chat, a teen in Tacoma coming out, a dad in Spokane rebuilding after divorce. Reviews glowed, "This saved me," and with them, validation washed over Nathaniel like rain on parched earth. Ethan celebrated with a surprise dinner at Carnley's, the restaurant's perch overlooking the city lights, modernist elegance in wood and glass. Over salmon and syrah, toasts to futures intertwined. Yet, the past's ghost stirred. Marcus, Nathaniel's ex, emailed out of blue, in Seattle for work. Coffee? Nostalgia or closure? Nathaniel deleted it, but unease lingered, a whisper of what ifs. He confided in Ethan over breakfast, bagels from a Wallingford spot slathered in cream cheese. "He doesn't get to rewrite us," Ethan said firmly, but his eyes held a flicker of jealousy. "Fear?" It sparked a deeper dive, therapy sessions joint now, unpacking layers in a counselor's cozy office near Pike Place. "You're both healing warriors," the therapist noted, her voice calm as chamomile. Sessions unearthed buried pains, Ethan's internalized shame from small-town roots, Nathaniel's fear of abandonment rooted in a father's distant love. Vulnerability bonded them tighter, intimacy evolving beyond bodies to souls bared. Winter holidays approached, snow dusting the Olympics like powdered sugar. They hosted a tree-trimming party in the loft, strings of lights twinkling against brick, ornaments from thrift shops in Fremont telling stories of second chances. Lena arrived with spiked cider, Javier with his guitar, strumming carols with a queer twist. Laughter echoed, Jasper decked in a ridiculous bow tie, and as midnight neared, Ethan pulled Nathaniel to the balcony, city sprawl a carpet of glow below. "Marry me," Ethan whispered, not with a ring, but a simple band of braided leather from a native artisan at the market, symbol of commitment woven. Tears pricked Nathaniel's eyes, joy sharp as sea air. Yes, he breathed, kiss sealing it under falling flakes. But joy's peak often precedes the valley. Spring brought Ethan's expansion breakthrough, a grant from a progressive foundation, but strings attached, relocation scouting to Portland for synergies. Just a trial, Ethan assured, but Nathaniel's gut clenched, echoes of Marcus's San Francisco flight. Arguments reignited, fiercer now, stakes higher with rings promised. You choose ambition over us again? Nathaniel accused one stormy night, thunder rumbling like unspoken rages. Ethan slammed the door to the office, words hurled back, and you chain me here out of fear. The loft felt like a cage, love's warmth chilled to frost. Nathaniel fled to Lena's couch in Belltown, nights scrolling job listings in Portland, bargaining with fate. Crisis peaked in a rain-lashed call, I can't lose you, Ethan sobbed, voice cracking over the line. The grant's a maybe. You're my always. Nathaniel returned at dawn, door creaking open to arms waiting, apologies a torrent. Healing deepened in the aftermath, boundaries drawn like trail maps. They compromised, hybrid expansion, roots in Seattle. Summer found them kayaking on Lake Union, paddles dipping in sync, houseboats bobbing like dreams afloat. Nathaniel's app hit a milestone, features expanded with user input, his name whispered in queer circles. One evening, as sunset blared orange over the sound, they stood on Ethan's new gym balcony in West Seattle, weights gleaming below, rainbow flag subtle in the windows. We made it, Nathaniel murmured, hand on the swell of Ethan's belly. No, wait, that was a dream yet. But the future shimmered, children perhaps through surrogacy, a family forged in resilience. Love, they knew, was no fairy tale, but a gritty epic, chapters of storm and sun. In each other's eyes, they saw the horizon endless and theirs. The balcony rail was cool under Nathaniel's palms, the West Seattle gym's opening gala humming below like a heartbeat quickened by possibility. Guests milled among the equipment, clinking glasses of local Pinot, the air scented with cedar from the nearby arbor and the faint tang of new rubber mats. Ethan moved through the crowd with effortless charm, his button-down rolled to elbows, hazel eyes catching Nathaniel's across the room, a private smile that said, we did this. 6 months since the proposal, and the leather band had been replaced by silver, simple and engraved with coordinates of that solstice beach. Life had settled into a rhythm as steady as the ferries crossing the Sound, but beneath it, undercurrents pulled, testing the depth of their bond. Nathaniel's app had exploded in popularity, partnerships with clinics in Portland and Vancouver, pulling him into conferences that meant weekends apart. Ethan thrived in the new space, classes filling with men shedding more than pounds, shame, silence, the weight of hidden selves. Yet, conflict brewed anew, insidious as ivy creeping brick. It started with a client, not Riley's ghost, but a fresh spectre, Alex, a 32-year-old firefighter from Georgetown, broad-chested and brooding, enrolling in Ethan's advanced training. Alex's story poured out in sessions, recently out, post-breakup, seeking strength beyond sirens and smoke. Ethan mentored with empathy, late texts about progress reports blurring into personal shares. Nathaniel noticed first in the little things, Ethan's phone face down more often, a new cologne faint on his collar after extended sessions. Paranoia, he told himself, born of scars, but doubt festered like an untreated blister. One night, returning early from an app demo in Tacoma, he found the loft empty, Jasper's bowl dry. A text from Ethan, running late with Alex, breakthrough tonight. Dinner in fridge. The fridge held lasagna, cold and congealing, a metaphor too on the nose. Nathaniel paced, the ship canal's lights mocking from the window, memories of Riley's photo surging like bile. When Ethan arrived, wind-rumpled and apologetic, carrying takeout from a Thai spot in Ballard as amends, the air crackled. Breakthrough, who? Nathaniel asked, tone sharper than intended, fork stabbing rice. Ethan paused, fork midway, eyes narrowing. Jealousy doesn't suit you, Nate. Alex needs this, us, to be a safe space. The word us landed wrong, possessive in the wrong mouth. Words escalated, accusations of over-involvement clashing with defenses of compassion. You're my partner, not his therapist, Nathaniel snapped, voice echoing off exposed beams. Ethan stood, chair scraping. And you're suffocating me with suspicion. I chose you every day. When will that be enough? The door to the bedroom slammed, Jasper slinking under the table, tail tucked. Sleep evaded Nathaniel, curled on the couch, City's hum a lullaby turned dirge. Dawn brought regret, coffee brewing as peace offering, but Ethan left for the gym without a word, truck rumbling away like thunder retreating. Days stretched taut, communication clipped to logistics, pick up milk? Gym at 7? Love you, unsigned. The crisis deepened at a support group Nathaniel facilitated online, stories of betrayal echoing his own fears. A user shared, trust is rebuilt in the ruins, but what if the foundation's cracked? It hit like a gut punch, prompting a solo hike in the Issaquah Alps, boots crunching leaves, summit views of the Cascades a reminder of scale, his pain small against mountains. Ethan reached out mid-trail, voice tentative over speaker, I miss you. Can we talk? Really talk? They met at their park bench in Discovery Park, wind whispering through madrones, Jasper off-leash chasing gulls. Confessions flowed, Ethan's guilt for enjoying Alex's admiration, a balm to old insecurities, Nathaniel's terror of history repeating, abandonment's echo chamber. We set boundaries, Ethan proposed, hand over Nathaniel's. No after hours with clients. And you, tell me when the shadows creep, before they swallow you. Agreement sealed with a kiss, salty from tears, the park's paths winding like their road ahead. Healing wove through autumn's gold, joint therapy resuming, exercises in radical honesty. They attended a queer film festival at SIFF, hands linked in the dark, stories on screen mirroring their mess, loves fractured, mended. Alex faded to professional distance, his progress celebrated from afar. Winter brought warmth in layers, holiday lights strung in the new gym, a class for couples yoga where they tangled limbs and laughs. Nathaniel's parents visited, awkward at first over brunch in Queen Anne, but Ethan's easy grace thawed ice, hugs exchanged, questions gentled. He's good for you, Mom whispered, eyes misty. Spring unfurled with renewal, cherry blossoms carpeting sidewalks like confetti. Nathaniel's app won an award, gala in a downtown hotel, Ethan at his side in a suit tailored sharp. Speeches lauded impact, lives changed, one connection at a time, and in the afterglow, hotel room overlooking the Needle, they celebrated skin to skin, slow and sacred. But undercurrents persisted, ambitions tide rising. Offers poured for Nathaniel, a lead role at a San Francisco firm, salary doubling, equity in growth. It's a chance, he told Ethan over dinner at a Fremont brewery, IPAs frothing. Ethan's fork paused, face paling. And us? Roots here, the gym, our life. Debate stretched nights, pros weighed against heart's pull. I won't go if it breaks us, Nathaniel vowed, but the seed of resentment sprouted, sacrifice his shadow. Ethan countered with expansion talks, Portland scouts again, vicious cycle. Climax crashed on a muggy June eve, storm cells brewing over the sound. Argument erupted post-run, sweat slick and spent, you're choosing safety over dreams. Ethan yelled, voice raw. And you're dragging me into yours, unwilling. Words cut deepest, maybe Marcus was right, I'm too much work. Nathaniel stormed out, pounding pavement to Lena's, rain starting as sobs. Ethan followed in the truck, headlights cutting dark, pulling over on Aurora Bridge. Stop running, he pleaded through the window, thunder punctuating. We fight for this, together. No more solos. Reconciliation came drenched, truck cab confessional. I turned down Portland, Ethan said. And you, take the job, but we make it work. Commutes, visits, us unbreakable. Nathaniel nodded, relief flooding. Hybrid life. Seattle base, heart synced. Summer healed in sun-soaked increments, weekends in the San Juans, kayaks slicing water, evenings coding by ferry light. Ethan's gym hosted a pride event, rainbow weights and stories shared, Nathaniel emceeing with poise born of survival. By fall, balance held, love's ledger even. They planned a wedding small, beachside in Olympic National Park, vows under ancient cedars. Nathaniel reflected, journal open to a new page, unexpected confessions birth the truest tales. The cedars whispered ancient secrets in the Olympic breeze, their branches a cathedral canopy for the handful of witnesses gathered on the pebbled beach, waves lapping a soft hymn to the moment. Nathaniel stood barefoot in khakis rolled at the ankles, silver band glinting on his finger, heart full to bursting as Ethan approached, eyes locked, the man who had locked a door and unlocked a life. Vows exchanged were simple, etched in sand and soul, in storms and sun, I choose you. Honeymoon was a road trip down the coast, Highway 101 unspooling like a film reel, stops at Cannon Beach for haystack rocks at dawn, crab cakes in Newport, motels with neon signs flickering promises. They talked endlessly, radio low with Lucinda Williams crooning heartache turned hope. In a Big Sur cabin, fog rolling off the Pacific, they mapped futures, kids via surrogacy, a home with a yard for Jasper's successors, gyms, and apps expanding in tandem. Back in Seattle, reality reasserted, a gentle prod. Nathaniel commuted weekly to San Francisco, bullet train south a blur of vineyards and valleys, returning to Ethan's arms with stories of boardrooms and breakthroughs. The distance, once a threat, became a spice, reunions fervent, fueled by absence's fire. Conflict, however, was life's insistent composer, striking chords unbidden. It arrived in the form of family, Ethan's, from Spokane, conservative veins running deep as the Columbia River. A call came mid-fall, leaves swirling in gusts off Lake Washington, Ethan's sister, Clara, announcing a visit, husband and kids in tow, to meet the family. Code for scrutiny, the wedding news a ripple turned wave. Clara arrived whirlwind, minivan packed with casseroles and catechisms, her smile tight as the cross around her neck. Dinners were minefields, small talk skirting edges, such a nice home, over pot roast, eyes on the pride flag discreetly pinned to the fridge. Ethan deflected with charm, Jasper a buffer, but tension coiled. The blow landed Saturday, post-hike in Rattlesnake Ledge, kids napping in the van. Clara cornered Ethan by the grill, voice low, this lifestyle. It's not too late, brother. For you, for salvation. Nathaniel overheard from the kitchen, knife pausing mid-chop, heart plummeting. Ethan's response was steel, this is my salvation, Clara. Love isn't sin, hiding it is. The visit ended cordially, hugs strained, but fallout lingered. Ethan withdrew, night staring at the canal, silence a shroud. They see me as broken, he confessed one evening, voice hollow. Nathaniel held him, words inadequate, suggesting a letter, raw, unfiltered, to bridge the chasm. Drafting it together, by firelight in the loft, became catharsis. Ethan poured pain, the boyhood prayers for normalcy, the divorce as escape hatch, the joy found in Nathaniel's gaze. Sent via post, old school, it hung in ether, response a week later, tear-stained pages from Clara, I was wrong. I see your light now. Forgive? Healing flowed from there, tentative calls evolving to visit sans judgment, nieces drawing rainbows on gym chalkboards. Family, fractured, began mending, threads of understanding woven. Yet personal storms gathered. Nathaniel's San Francisco role intensified, travel bleeding into months, video calls a poor substitute for touch. Exhaustion etched lines around his eyes, code errors mirroring marital drifts. Ethan, meanwhile, mentored a young trainer, Kai, fresh from college in Eugene, eager and effusive. Innocent at first, shared runs, advice on certifications, but Nathaniel's returns brought tales of Kai's bromanced jokes, photos of group hangs at Elliott Bay. Insecurity, that old foe, reared. A delayed flight home, hotel bar in San Francisco airport, led to texts unanswered, Ethan's miss you met with Nathaniel's curt with Kai again. Paranoia peaked in a midnight call, accusations flying across wires, am I reliving Riley? Ethan, hurt, hung up, silence deafening. Crisis detonated upon Nathaniel's arrival, airport shuttle dropping him at the loft, rain sheeting. Ethan waited, arms crossed, face thunderous. You don't trust me. After everything. Words warred, furniture rearranged by flung cushions, Jasper cowering. I gave up Portland for us. Ethan roared. What more proof? Nathaniel collapsed on the couch, sobs racking. I'm scared. The miles, the what ifs, they're eating me. Dawn broke with truces, therapy intensified, a weekend retreat to a cabin in the Methow Valley, snowshoeing through pines, fireside truths. We redefine us, the therapist urged later, in their Belltown sessions. Boundaries for distance, weekly check-ins, surprise visits. Implementation brought levity, Ethan's flash mob at SFO with balloons, Nathaniel's care packages of Seattle sweets to Ethan's desk. Spring bloomed resilient, app updates incorporating family modules, inspired by Ethan's bridge to Clara. They hosted a barbecue in the new yard, fence freshly painted, friends toasting toasts to tenacious love. Kai proved ally, not threat, joining pride floats with enthusiasm. Summer's heatwave baked the city, but their cool held. A surrogacy consult in a sterile clinic near Swedish hospital sparked dreams tangible, names brainstormed over ice cream at Molly Moon's, visions of tiny hands in theirs. Autumn winds carried whispers of change, Nathaniel negotiating remote heavy from Seattle, Ethan's gym chainlet budding in Tacoma. Walking the waterfront, gulls wheeling, they paused at the Olympic Sculpture Park, Calder's arcs mirroring life's swings. Unexpected doors lead to homes, Nathaniel mused, hand in Ethan's. The coach who locked one had opened a world. The sculpture's red arcs curved against the grey sky, a playful counterpoint to the evergreen resolve in Ethan's grip, their steps sinking on the waterfront path as if choreographed by the tide itself. Seattle's pulse thrummed around them, joggers in neon, ferries tooting salutes, but in that moment, the world was theirs, a private reel in the city's grand film. 9 months post-wedding, and the surrogacy journey had crested into wonder, positive test confirmed, a due date circled in red on the loft's wall calendar, like a beacon amid deadlines. Ultrasounds became dates, grainy images of fluttering heartbeats pinned to the fridge beside Jasper's paw prints. Nathaniel's hand often rested on Ethan's knee during scans, a silent vow amid the gel and probes. Conflict, ever the uninvited guest, slipped in with the first trimester's tempests. Morning sickness hit the surrogate hard, appointments multiplying, Ethan's worry manifesting as hovering, meal preps of ginger tea and crackers, cancelled gym classes for errand runs. Nathaniel, juggling app expansions with investor calls from afar, felt the strain, resents bubbling like overboiled espresso. It peaked one foggy November morning, Ethan insisting on driving to the clinic despite Nathaniel's meeting. You always prioritize work, Ethan muttered, keys jangling. This is our kid, Nate. The car idled at the light near Pike Place, fishmongers calling, but silence reigned heavier. And you're smothering her, us, with control, Nathaniel retorted, voice tight. I need space to breathe, to contribute my way. Words hung, traffic crawling, until Ethan pulled over by the viaduct, engine ticking cool. I'm terrified, he admitted, hands white-knuckled on the wheel. Losing this, losing you to the miles again. Tears tracked, confessions cascading, fears of fatherhood unfit, echoes of his own absent dad in Spokane Mills. Nathaniel softened, hand covering Ethan's. We're in this, scared together. The appointment proceeded, heartbeat strong, a bridge rebuilt in the waiting room's vinyl chairs. Healing deepened through classes, parenting workshops in a cozy Capitol Hill center, diapers and debates on sleep training. They read stacks from Elliott Bay, What to Expect When You're Expecting, but queer editions with sections on two-dad dynamics. Laughter laced nerves, mock bottles passed like batons. Winter solstice brought family fusion, Clara and crew for the holidays, her now embraced brother-in-law Ethan toasting eggnog by the tree. Kids toddled, bellies full of Lena's cookies, stories swapped of first steps and first loves. Nathaniel's parents joined via video, Ohio snow framing their smiles, grandkids? We're ready. Spring's thaw mirrored the surrogate's glow, belly rounding under sundresses at park picnics. But external storms gathered, app funding round demanded Nathaniel's full Bay Area presence, weeks stretching. Distance gnawed, calls laced with static, literal and emotional. Crisis brewed during a 2-week stint, hotel views of the Golden Gate a lonely vista. Ethan texted updates, kicks felt, nursery painted sage. But a late-night voicemail cracked, "Craving you here. It's real now, Nate. Come home." Nathaniel booked the earliest flight, landing in drizzle, arms full of takeout from Evo's, chowder steaming. Reunion was tender, loft filled with paint fumes and promise, bodies reconnecting slow, mindful of the life they guarded. No more marathons away, Nathaniel pledged, job tweaked to quarterly sprints. Summer swelled with the belly, beach days at Alki, toes in sand, jasper splashing. They assembled cribs in the nursery, walls muraled with forests by a local artist, dreams taking shape. Yet betrayal's shadow, subtle, emerged in doubt's guise. A forum post on the app, anonymous, "Two dads? Kid deserves normal." It struck deep, Nathaniel spiraling, questioning readiness. Ethan found him at dawn on the balcony, coffee cold. "We're not normal, we're us. Better." Therapy unpacked it, roots in old wounds, Nathaniel's Ohio echoes of otherness. Group support followed, connections with other queer parents at a Central District cafe, stories of triumphs over trolls. Autumn harvest coincided with Harvest Moon, baby shower hosted by Javier and Lena, balloons bobbing like hearts afloat. Gifts unwrapped, tiny sneakers, books of adventures with two heroes. As leaves fell, so did fears, replaced by anticipation's hum. Walk slowed, Ethan's arm supporting the surrogate at check-ins, Nathaniel's hand on her belly feeling flutters. One crisp October eve, contractions whispered start. Hospital rush in the truck, Ethan's white-knuckle drive through tunnel lights, Nathaniel's calls to family. Labor stretched hours, grips bruising, breath synced. At 4:17 a.m., under fluorescent halos, cries pierced, Luca, dark-haired and fierce, eyes opening to a world of two fathers waiting. Tears mingled, hands entwined over swaddled form, the locked doors echo now a lullaby of arrival. In that room, overlooking the awakening city, love's narrative arc complete, from confession spark to family's flame. Luca's cry softened to gurgles under the nursery's soft glow, mobile of wooden stars twirling lazy circles, but Nathaniel's vigil held, chair creaking as he rocked, exhaustion a distant hum against the miracle in his arms. Ethan slept fitfully on the couch, tie loosened, the loft transformed into a haven of burp cloths and bottles, Jasper's bed relocated to the hall with stoic resignation. Parenthood's first weeks were a blur of diapers and dawn feeds, Seattle's winter rains a rhythmic backdrop to the chaos. Nathaniel took leave from the app, trading code for cuddles, Ethan's gym shifts covered by Kai's capable hands. They tag-teamed like pros, one napping while the other paced with fussing Luca, colics wails piercing night like sirens. Conflict arose not in grand gestures, but mundane fractures, sleep deprivation's edge-sharpening tongues. A midnight meltdown over formula warmth, Ethan insisting breast milk banks purity, Nathaniel fumbling microwave, escalated to snapped handle it yourself, and door slams echoing down the hall. Morning brought apologies over cold coffee, Luca nursing oblivious. "We're sleepwalking zombies," Ethan yawned, rubbing temples. "Need a system." They devised shifts, walks with the carrier along the canal, fresh air a balm. Lena dropped meals, her dad bod incoming jokes lightening loads. Healing in increments, a night out, first date night post-baby, babysitter trusted from the youth center. At a cozy Italian in Belltown, candlelight flickering, they reconnected, hands across linen, whispers of Gio my hero cutting through fatigue. Spring arrived with Luca's first smile, gummy and golden, melting winter's remnants. Milestones mounted, rolls on the nursery rug, coos mimicking Ethan's laugh. Family visits warmed, Clara's brood tumbling in chaos, Nathaniel's parents arriving with Ohio quilts, or in their eyes at the grandson bridging coasts. Yet deeper tension simmered, identities pull amid fatherhood's tide. Ethan's gym thrived, but he chafed at domestic anchor, craving the rush of coaching marathons. "I miss the grind," he confessed during a rare quiet evening, Luca asleep, wine loosening tongues. Nathaniel nodded, but his own app demanded updates for parental resources, panels on queer family dynamics. Resentment flickered, "You're gone in your head, coding while I'm here," Ethan vented one afternoon, Luca teething and tearful. "And you're resentful of the gym's pull," Nathaniel countered, laptop slamming shut. Argument spilled to the balcony, city lights indifferent, words wounding. Is this what we traded dreams for? Diapers over destiny. Silence followed, heavy as fog, broken by Luca's wail from the monitor. They soothed him together, tiny fists waving, a reset in soft pajamas. Dawn called to the therapist, parenting's rewriting us. Help navigate. Sessions evolved, incorporating Luca's nap times, strategies for balance, Ethan's half-day retreats to train elite clients, Nathaniel's home office hours with baby monitor symphony. Date nights ritualized, park picnics, ferry rides to Bainbridge for pie at Blackbird. Summer sun-gilded family outings, beach days at Golden Gardens, Luca in a sun hat too big, splashing toes in shallows. Pride parade floats thundered by, rainbows waving, Ethan hoisting Luca high, cheers a chorus of belonging. Crisis crested subtly, invulnerabilities breach. A work trip for Nathaniel, to a tech summit in Austin, Luca's first separation. Airport goodbye tour, Ethan's eyes wet, come back whole. Hotel nights, Nathaniel scrolled photos, homesick ache sharp. Return brought joy, Luca's crawl across the rug to his feet, but Ethan's distance chilled. Mr. Milestone, he said flatly over dinner, Luca babbling. Unspoken, fear of abandonment renewed, fatherhood amplifying old scars. Confrontation brewed over a weekend getaway, grandparents babysitting, cabin in the Snoqualmie Valley. Fireplace crackling, truths tumbled, Ethan's terror of single parenting, Nathaniel's guilt over divided self. We're more than roles, dad, coach, coder, Nathaniel urged. Partners first. Recommitment sealed in the hot tub, stars wheeling, bodies and promises renewed. Back home, routines rebalanced, shared home office, gym creche for Luca, app features co-designed with Ethan's input. Autumn deepened bonds, Luca's first words, DA, a tie binding both. Holidays glowed, Thanksgiving with Clara's kin, tables groaning under turkey and tails, Ohio feeds via Zoom toasting tiny triumphs. Winter's hush brought reflection, journal entries longer, gratitude lists pinned, Ethan's steady hand in fevers, Luca's laugh like bells. Walking snow-dusted paths in Green Lake, bundled trio, Nathaniel pondered the arc, from gym lock to family lockstep. Unexpected confessions birth legacies, he wrote, love's door ever open. Luca's first birthday dawned crisp, balloons bobbing in the loft's morning light, the scent of pancakes from the griddle mingling with fresh coffee, a symphony of celebration amid the year's quiet revolutions. Nathaniel flipped the last stack, golden and fluffy, while Ethan wrestled a high-chair bib over Luca's wriggling form, laughter bubbling as syrup-sticky fingers grabbed at air. Jasper waited patiently below, tail thumping, ever the hopeful beggar. 1 year in, parenthood had sculpted them anew, edges softened, strengths forged in the fire of 3 a.m. wakes and wonder-filled dawns. The app flourished, now with a podcast arm featuring Ethan on episodes about physical resilience in queer families, downloads spiking after a feature in The Stranger. Ethan's gyms, 3 now, Tacoma Outpost thriving, integrated family classes, Luca often the tiniest attendee, clapping along from a playpen. Conflict, though tempered, persisted in evolution's guise. As Luca toddled into 2s, daycare enrollment loomed, a bridge to independence that unearthed anxieties. What if they don't get him, thus? Ethan fretted during enrollment tours, sterile rooms echoing his Spokane shadows. Nathaniel, ever the optimizer, researched endlessly, spreadsheets comparing curricula, but his pragmatism clashed with Ethan's heart-led hesitance. Tensions peaked at a parent orientation in a bright Fremont co-op, circle time sharing fears. Ethan's voice cracked recounting Clara's old judgments, Nathaniel squeezing his knee under the table. Post-meetup drive home, rain pattering, words erupted, you're overprotecting, projecting, Nathaniel said gently, but it landed as dismissal. Easy for you to say, Mr. Remote, I'm the one dropping him off daily. Truck pulled to curb near the locks, boats churning, they sat in charged quiet. We're scared of letting go, Nathaniel realized aloud. Ethan nodded, hand finding his. Together, then. Healing through immersion, trial days at the co-op, Luca's gleeful waves goodbye a gradual release. Pick-up stories became rituals, finger paint smeared, songs learned, binding worry to wonder. Summer adventures amplified joys, road trip to the Oregon coast, Luca's first castle built in Cannon Beach sands, waves tickling toes. Campfires crackled with s'mores and stories, Jasper roasting marshmallows with comedic flair. Yet betrayal's echo, faint, stirred in professional crossroads. A headhunter approached Nathaniel for a CEO role at a Boston startup, queer-led, impact tripled. Salary enticed, mission aligned, but uprooting, again, loomed threat. He mulled in silence, at balcony overlooking the sound, until a dinner confession, "It's everything I dreamed, but leaving you, Luca." Ethan's fork paused mid-bite, face paling. "We built here. Is success worth the soil we tilled?" Debate stretched weeks, pros of prestige versus cons of fracture, therapy mediating like a referee. Crisis clarified in a storm-swept night, Luca asleep, thunder rattling windows. "I turn it down," Nathaniel declared, resolve firm. "Boston's a title, you're my legacy." Ethan pulled him close, relief raw. "Proud of you, for choosing us." The decision freed space for creation, collaborative project, a family wellness center merging gym and app, grant-funded in Pioneer Square. Groundbreaking ceremony, shovels in soil, Luca in a tiny hard hat, press snapping photos of the power couple reshaping Seattle's queer landscape. Autumn leaves swirled as Luca's words flowered, Dada run, tugging Ethan to the park. Nathaniel captured it on video, app's new family journal feature in beta, users raving about captured moments. Winter holidays layered traditions, Ohio kin flying west, Clara's crew eastbound, a potluck fusion of peerages and pie. Luca, elf earned, distributed gifts, chaos joyful. Spring brought Luca's preschool debut, backpack oversized, brave waves from the gate. Pickups brimmed with crafts, Nathaniel's pocket ever full of glue stick art. Summer solstice circled back, beach bonfire redux, Luca now chasing sparks, Ethan and Nathaniel entwined on blankets. "From that door," Ethan murmured, "to this life." As years layered, conflicts came, teen rebellions forecast, career pivots pondered, but roots held deep, love's narrative evergreen. Unexpected confessions? They birthed a story of endurance, humanity's quiet heroism in ordinary days. In Seattle's embrace, rain or shine, they thrived, partners, parents, pioneers of a love unlocked and unending.